Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. I quit at life, and I have brought in reinforcements. Fuck it. When it comes down to it, I'm just gonna say a few things. I do apologize for the fact that Smabb's not gonna sound great. That's my fault because one, setup issues. Two, this mic is a dick.
So does that mean I can quit?
No, not yet. I've already enslaved you. We've signed
I
the
got the
soul.
gun.
Yes, we've signed the contract. Your soul is mine. Deal with.
But I have a gun.
I have your soul. You lose.
What if this is a soul killer gun?
Only in
I
anime.
play too much Cyberpunk.
Yeah, you have. Yeah, you have. Or watch too much anime. Either way, not a great selling point. So,
Hey, Cyberpunk 2.0 is amazing. But that's not what we're here to talk about today.
so I've been struggling with the review for Armored Core, mostly because my experience was terrible, pretty bad. Now, thankfully, a certain someone, that one, uh, was basically able to have the better experience. So, and because my experience,
Times beaten each version of the ending story.
show off. So, basically, I beat the game once, but after struggling so much, I wound up with this toxic ending that honestly made it so convincing myself to play it again anytime soon was pretty much not doable at all. Maybe someday, 4, 5, maybe 10 years in the future. Not anytime soon. That's how bad the ending was for me, especially after how much I fought for it.
I personally found the ending of to be of self-sacrifice a bit, which kind of vibes with me.
So we'll go into the whole ending things a little deeper, and we'll also make sure that when we get to that point, we warn you people of. Well, we won't do hard spoilers for it. Pretty much talking about it in depth makes.
Look, he won't. My brain doesn't have a filter when it comes to talking about like something I love. Also, my memory is wonky, so I probably ain't gonna. I'm gonna be honest.
I'm gonna
But for my
try.
part,
I'm going to try to keep us not spoiler free, just not to the point of where okay, they've given me the entire ending. What's the point of me playing now? Keyword is try.
swear upon the soul killer gun, I will try my best.
We will probably fail, and that is fine. As long as we have made an effort, I'm going to call it a win. Now, the thing is, I want to kind of start off with more or less what I basically couldn't stop feeling the entire time. This was a feeling that never once left me from the start of the friggin' game to the end of it for me. I always had this nasty, permeating, almost unsettling feeling like there was supposed to be actual co op in here, but that they removed it so that this way they can charge for it later. Now, to be fair, very fair to FromSoft, that could just be because of how game industry has been doing business, and it has made me cynic and paranoid. That very much could be it. I think we can both agree it could just be me paranoid.
I'm putting up my hand as a question so I don't interrupt you.
Sure.
So, as someone who has played and been complete and utter shit at every AC game I've played, the game has never had co-op, so it's never meant to have it. I know you and I have enjoyed co-op from the Souls, the Born games, but even Sekiro didn't have co-op.
Yes, but Sekiro never gave off this constant sensation of there's supposed to be co-op. It's supposed to be here. That's the
I
difference.
didn't
Is
get that
I
feeling once,
That's what I was
except
saying.
for against a specific boss where I was like, it'd be useful if I had a friend here.
But that's kind of
But
my
the
whole
game
point
still
is
challenged single player.
I'm that's kind of the point I was hammering on is this might just be something that was born from how bad my experience was. Maybe it's just because of how some moments felt like, okay, is this it? I don't know what it was. I cannot put my finger on it, on what exactly was doing it. There was just this nagging sensation that something was missing. And I don't really know how else to define it other than there's this sensation like, oh, this whole bit screams I should have been freaking fucking these guys up with Smabb the whole time. Go for it.
So I had a similar feeling, different reason though. As a player of the older games, they took out a lot of the functionality of the robots. The whole, oh, my headset just decided to go dark on me. Oh, I'm back. So in OG Armored Cores, you get to be able to fiddle with your mech to a ridiculous degree. They simpled it down to make this one a somewhat of a baby's first game. That is what I feel is missing.
So maybe that's the whole thing is that that's just what's missing, and just be, I haven't played them myself, but I have watched them enough to the point of where, and I did a demo for one on the PS3, I think, but I'm not confident in that. So maybe that's just it. Maybe that it's just that all that stuff being simplified has created a sensation, and my brain is just like, what the fuck is wrong with this? What the fuck is wrong with this? I can't. What would make sense here? What would make sense here? Ah! Go for it.
Your brain seems to be working on previous ideas of what has been, not what currently is. That seems to be the issue.
Maybe that's just it's just my brain trying to make sense of something. Maybe that's it. My brain's just trying to
Yeah,
like, what would fit here? What place something here to make it make sense? And again, game industry probably doesn't help because there are plenty who have done that, who have ripped stuff out so they can charge it later. I could spend an hour naming stuff. Yep.
I'm just gonna say the worst current offender is Bethesda and Ubisoft.
Oh yeah.
We could make a video on that shit.
Do
That'd be an entire video.
you want to spend 6 hours and have me in a wheelchair growing gray hairs by the mile?
I feel like we could condense each one into a half an hour each.
Oh, I'm not confident of that. With how much some of them piss me off, I will go into a tirade. I will.
Yeah, but you on
Uh,
your own, I can see that happening. But I'm here. I'd be there.
ugh.
But that's a possible future that may or may not exist.
And it would have to be like I'd have to have tequila. I'd have to have. I'd have to have like a full ass bottle of tequila just so I can comfort myself by the end of that video.
But yeah, like FromSoft has given us some of the most amazing co-op experiences ever to currently exist on previous and current gen platforms.
And
Like it's insane the amount of awesomeness you can do. But just because a game from they've made is single player, maybe that's how it was meant to be from the start. Just like I mentioned with Sekiro.
I will say some of the, as you kind of lightly brought up, some of the AI though, we have to get into that eventually, and I'm scared to wait for too long on that one because I can already see like tirade happen. Yes,
Pre-nerf Balteus was bullshit. I can't believe it kicked his ass. That's it.
I think overall the AI in my experience of this game was just inconsistent. That's the perfect way to summarize it. Not like Lies of P inconsistent, but just inconsistent in its own ways. Because it felt like I was going pretty much every single chapter from one good mission to one boring mission and then one bullshit mission. Like, yeah.
Personally, I feel, with the exception of about three missions out of the entire series, one in each of the storylines that the game actually has. Small spoiler there, you have to go through three times. But the game, for me, went from strength to strength because I was building my mech arsenal, changing my mech, mixing it up. until I found one I loved. I think that's what helped me find the game fun on almost every single level.
So I'm just gonna say I struggled with altering mech parts at first because I didn't know about a certain thing. I didn't know tutorial bit had weapon parts. First of all, that part wasn't explained or even hinted at. You had to do it in order to find that part out, which I was like, on the one hand, clever. You're an asshole. Clever. You're an asshole. But I will say, once you figured out the money fix, it becomes no longer an issue to kind of alternate parts. I didn't realize that at first. By the time I had finally learned about the trick to actually make some real money, which is doing stuff like arenas, the tutorials, uh, uh, I'm forgetting what they're called now all of a sudden, but not the actual missions like practice missions, I think they were, or something like that. And basically, those will help your money issues a ton, so you don't be a broke joke like me and like penny pinch and scrimp hard. Don't do what I do. Don't do what I did. But I basically, once I figured that out, it got better. But at the same time, I still felt like, okay, I feel like I'm just buying a lot of the same weapons. I feel like a lot of stuff really isn't. I wouldn't say they felt. Some things felt bad, but some of them were like intentional, I think. But it's just some things didn't feel as good as I would have liked. Like I would have loved to have gone through this game. Like I told you, I wanted to go through this thing originally. Freaking hardcore gunslinger, dual wielding pistols. That's not advisable at all. It's a terrible idea. I'll get to your question in one sec. Sorry. The thing is, trying to play this game pistols is just not worth it. Because your bullets are going to pretty much bounce off of every opponent who's not the smallest of smallest trash mobs. And they're going to do pretty much no damage for everything except for the trash mob. You go up against bosses, your bullets are going to bounce off. They're not going to do anything. They're honestly a waste, and it doesn't help that the ammo pool you can carry for that is a fraction of a Gatling gun. You can carry like 5,000 or something like that Gatling gun ammo, but for pistols, you're lucky you can carry 1,000, which is kind of ridiculous. You gotta remember is that a Gatling gun has 1,000 rounds in it by default, so that means you're carrying 4,000 roughly in reserve ammo, or sorry, 3,000 in reserve ammo roughly. My math probably is still a little bit off. But that's still a lot of reserve ammo that you cannot have if you have a pistol. If you have a pistol, you're effed. Now your question.
Well, I'm gonna start with just my statement, and then I'll actually get to a question. So when it came to the weapons, I'm gonna have to agree. We needed more variety, and that variety needed to matter. Most of what we got was I'm a tap and shoot gun rapidly to make it seem like it's an auto gun. We had very few actual auto guns. The laser guns, they're a different category entirely, and I don't normally use those, so I can't speak on those. But I like the auto fire variety. It's why I ended up landing on dual Gatlers. And it's a real shame because I would love to pull up with a semi-auto pistol and just go brr, 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 with a light mech. Well, just shooting off rockets from my back and slinging them with a dual sword, which is a cool weapon.
So,
But my question here is, what weapons did you find that suited you best? Because I told you mine is dual Gatler.
so until I got to the point of where I was running into pretty much some mobs who were pretty much immune to my bullets, they were just bouncing off. I finally just said fuck it, and I was so pissed off. I was like, hey, I see extra rockets. I'm going to use more rockets. So by the end of the game, my build that I set up, I had that I really liked and was for a long time really working for me, like often, was having two handheld 4-cell rockets. Those chased the opponents, which was nice. And I had to my back two 8-cell rockets, which basically allowed me to pump out so much explosion damage and allowed me to even lock opponents up so heavily, so instantly, that it often gave me such a radical advantage. I think there's really only one boss in the entire game where my explosion chaos was like it wasn't a guaranteed destruction of everything, which was, as you know, Snail, my hell. The thing is I honestly, until that boss fight, my method really never failed truly. Especially since I realized, oh, it's better to, instead of trying to just light them all at once, it's go one, another, the other, and then restart the cycle again. Because what it would pretty much do is it would pretty much instantly stun lock every opponent right at the start. Like even like opponents who I should not have been able to win against because of my setup, I was able to deal with, which was kind of cool. Ultimately, that wound up being my favorite. Even as I was going my way to the final opponent, to the very last fight, it was still my favorite because they didn't have that electrical bullshit shield. So I was able to literally win that fight first shot, which was a lot of my fights actually. I won them on the first shot because of me using so many rockets and stun locking people. Yep.
Just a quick one for me. I feel like if an enemy has shields like that, I feel like it's a test your might moment. Shut up, or fuck off.
I
I feel like that's what that is.
I don't because I didn't stick when they. Well, the first time they friggin' screwed me over with Baltea's electrical bullshit, I finally was just like, okay, supposedly, and I didn't know this at the time. There's apparently I'm trying to remember the name of the pistol, but I can't remember. There's a pistol that's supposed to do really great for electrical shields. I was like, okay, I'll change up my method. So I changed it up. I dropped one of my, well, at first I dropped both. That was a mistake. I dropped both of the handheld rocket launchers for two of the pistols. Didn't I shouldn't have done that. I should have just gone with one. I should have just gotten rid of one and then, but oh well. Once I did that though, once I had one of the stupid, I think it's a stun pistol or something like that, is what it's called. I can't remember off the top of my head, honestly, with y'all. So I brought that up and it worked a lot better. I was able to thankfully then stun lock him as much as he stun locked me. Ultimately, though, by the time I had gotten to Snail, I had tried quite literally all the weapons I had available. I tried them all. I tried them in every combination. And I also tried them multiple different ways. And I was never able to get around that, which sucked. But honestly, I think I know what the real reason for the electrical shield McBullshit is. It's just I don't 100% agree with how it's handled. It's supposed to be a way of forcing you to get out of your comfort zone, to try more guns, be varied in your approach. I don't 100% agree with this. I really don't. I don't hate it, but I don't feel like it's quite utilized in the best of ways at times. I feel like it's kind of just a method of making a. I don't think it was their intent though, but I think it's just a way of making tough as snot bosses even more of a pain in the ass. Again, I don't think that was their intent though. Yeah.
Just I like I was saying there, but I'm gonna say it more politely. I feel that those with the shields like that are a litmus test for the power of your mech. If you fail, then there's a way to improve. But they're not.
No, they're more. How do I explain this best? They really were just kind of a varying thing, but it's just they took it too far because that there's no shield quite like their shield. There is nothing in the entire game's lineup that has the same level of defensiveness as Balteus's electrical shield. It is there's nothing you have really that's capable of dropping it in one go. You're always going to have to burn at least if you're using a single weapon, you're going to have to burn an entire mag and a half, sometimes two even. For if you're dual wielding, thankfully it's a lot quicker because now you're dropping that shield in just a mag each. But it's not about overpowering it because you're not going to do a fraction of damage with a rocket launcher, pistol, whether it's laser or physical. With the electrical shields, it's you have to drop all those and pick up what's I think called EMP type pistol, and they have that in single and auto and a spread. The thing is that's the only way you're gonna like actually quickly drop their shield. Well, there's also I think needle counts as EMP, I think, but I'm not confident of that. It's honestly it's doable to use two Gatling guns to drop their shield, but once you've done that, once you've dropped that, you've emptied your Gatling guns. You don't have anything left. So it kind of just like, okay, what do you have then for the other two mounts then, I guess? Hope they're good. Yeah?
Management of the miniguns can mitigate that severely. I only burned through about 25% going through the shield when it popped up. That gave me 2 bursts of his shield down, and the rest, the 50%, to whittle it out, along with my mounted guns, which at the time I just had. Oh, at that point, I had the anti-ice weapons that shot out the needle weapon. Only big boom. By the way, the stun effect is considered bleed for this game.
Yeah. Please don't ask me, I don't know. I just think it's supposed to be for mech reasons. So, as we brought up, the variety is not, when it comes to weapons, is kind of minimalist. I'm going to lean into that further because I actually counted them out. The mass majority of the weapons are launchers and shotguns. There's only 8 rifles, and that's including laser. That's cheating, but oh well. There's 8 rifles, 8 pistols, and we gotta remember with the pistols is that's counting laser and EMP. So, yeah. I don't entirely dig that part, honestly. Especially since it feels like on top of the only variety being in shotguns and launchers, it also feels like those are the only 2 types of weapons where the overall quality of the weapon, its damage, whatever have you, just its whole stats as a general point. Those are the only 2 gun types I feel like they're actually scaling at all, getting better over time. Every pistol feels, even though there is literally a difference in the fact that there is an automatic pistol in the game, you never know it. It's still kind of trash because it really isn't worth it. Now, before anyone just tries to say, oh, but people have used their fists, King. Let me just tell you, just out of the kindness of my heart, shut the fuck up. Just because someone can use fists doesn't make it fun to use fists. Doesn't make it good to use fists. Doesn't make it enjoyable to use fists. Is it some awesome ass shit that someone pulled that off? Hell yes. They should get some props. But that doesn't make it good. Yes?
I'm just gonna add to this. I I
Hmm.
like that as a variable. The punches are way too weak. Give us a fist weapon.
Yes, please. Two, please.
Let me strip my bow. Yeah, yeah.
The thing
Oh,
is I think we could probably both agree on this. Just because something can be done if you're bloody minded enough doesn't always mean it's fun. Those aren't always interlocked. And I would love to even have something like kind of like claw based weapons, like go full on saber tooth, just digging into my opponents like a friggin' savage. I would love that. And you've seen me with the venomous claw. You know I love to claw something in half. Sorry. Savage King noises. Apologies. When it comes down to it, I do want to make something clear now. I've said some bad, and I'm probably gonna say a little bit more. But I'm wanting to get this out of the way as quick as I can. Is that just because I am saying these bad things doesn't mean there's nothing good about the game. It doesn't mean that the game isn't salvageable in my eyes, and it doesn't mean it is a bad game. It is still, in as far as I'm concerned, guaranteed always going to be the second best game of this year. Always. But I will say I wish that there was something more in it. And I don't know if I even really care which one of these two things it is, whether it's the customization of the mech that was removed or if it's just some multiplayer added in. I'm not sure I care which, really, at the end of the day. I just kind of wish there was a little something more. No clue if that's just a me thing or not, though. It very much could be just me who feels that way. Alright. We've waited long enough. We've danced around it long enough. I'm going to tell you right now, this is the part where things get very, very spoilery. Okay? Because we're going to have to address it sooner or later, and this is going to be the longest topic we have, probably. Time to talk endings. So I'm going to start. I do have to be a little bit spoilery. I don't have to be necessarily too excessive with it, thankfully. But I do have to do some degree of it. Because it's unavoidable. It's impossible to explain what bothered me without doing some spoiler. And I do apologize for that. Now, at the end of the game, I had two ending options. I could either absolutely destroy all of Rubicon, or I can side with the voice in my character's head. I'm forgetting her name again.
air.
That was it. Yeah, that bitch. Side with her and save Rubicon. I wish to God I had burnt that bitch to the ground myself. I wish I had pissed and shat on the ashes of Rubicon's death. So I decide, okay, I mean, I'm trying to be a good guy for the first playthrough. I might as well. Alright, I'll go and I'll save Rubicon. That sounds like the just thing to do. I wasn't expecting for it to suck ass. Literally, the overall ending that involves saving Rubicon, if we look at the actual cutscenes, it was literally shorter than every Elden Ring ending. Every one of them. I already had an issue with Elden Ring being a little anemic with the endings. But dear God, I should never complain about that again. Because those were damn near epics by comparison. I literally looked at my clock out of the corner of my vision and then looked back to the game. It was literally 1 minute and then the credits rolled. than it was literally just not two, no, it was still a minute by the time even the Marvel esque ending that happened after the credits, even that was still within the same minute. And add in, it kind of sequel baits with that ending. Talking about what's going to happen next, not giving any like clear cut answers, just saying, "Oh, what's going to happen next? What will we accomplish next?" And honestly, I just wanted the game to burn itself. That's how pissed off I was. I wanted, as soon as I pulled out the game disc, I almost wanted it to just spontaneously combust. I was that pissed off and disappointed. Like, that was easily the most disappointing ending to any game I've played. And yes, that includes Reverie, which I just did the friggin' review not long ago for. This ending, honestly, was even worse than the Cyberpunk endings. Not DLC. I don't got no DLC. I don't got the game. Okay? I rented that game. And honestly, no matter which of the three endings I did, those were more meaningful, likable, and had more fanfare than this freaking save Rubicon waste of my time. Coming to a McDonald's near you, waste of my time. All it is friggin' the Rubicon ending shoved between some buns. Alright. Now for the one who's definitely going to spoil a lot and spoil it hard. Hopefully, we can avoid that. But I'm not going to try to rein her in, honestly. Begin.
Okay, so
Finish
I
them.
have the opposite side of this. Though, but they still waking up after force body. Yeah. So I am more of a self-sacrificing person, and I like being the hero with games where you can do the hero or villain choices. I found greatness in the ending because of who you had to fight to achieve it. They were with you the entire game. You got to know a bit about them. If you read the logs, you got to know even more. If you speculated, and you may have gotten close, it meant even more. I myself didn't do speculations. I just liked the bond that was had. So I was crying through my final fight and ending and the good ending. And at the end, I was like, I did a really good thing today. And I wonder how the game's going to top it next. I might have to be a dick. Then I went and became a dick. And I liked that ending too. Because we also got to fight against somebody who was with us. Basically at the start of the game. And it was amazing. I fought them so many times, dying. The first guy, I only died twice. Got him in the third round. But this fight, oh god, I died like 12 or so times. Each time feeling more and more. Each time I fought this person. Because every time I hear their words repeated, I'd be like, I wish I wasn't here. I want to help you, but I need this. I need to complete the game. Not complete completionist, but beat this part of the story. And it was so heartbreaking when they finally got to 1 HP, and I decided for the first time in the game through the OS2 menu you can get this little kick. I was in full tank treads and I just smashed into her, depleting her health, and it was heartbreaking. And the ending itself, chef's kiss personally. It was, oh god, it was way too good. But then you get the third ending, which is even more balls to the walls. Because you end up also fighting somebody else who has also been with you since the start of the game. It's insane. And you end up fighting a good little buddy as well, who's been with you since pretty early on in the game. It's a fight that is to the balls to the walls where it's friend v friend, enemy v enemy, bud v bud, person who you thought was good who's actually evil. And then in the end, it's a story of balance to the world. It's a story that I think can only be told from a FromSoft team, even if I personally believe this game was made by a B team.
I'm just gonna point out one sad thing though. They're not really truly with you. They're just talking into an earpiece, and you're bodiless the whole time.
That is how FromSoft's Armored Core has always worked. You have never had an actual person. It is always like actually this is one of the few games that actually has you not going through the messages for your missions. It all gets read out to you. In the old games you had to read it all yourself and imagine the voice.
I guess, but to me, just because something's always been doesn't inherently make it be. It should always be that way. Like, I'm sorry, I'm going to say something that's probably going to seem blasphemous, but one great example of something that's always been, but shouldn't always be the thing you use for every single thing across the board, one for one, Dark Souls style multiplayer. The way the multiplayer functions, guess what? In Elden Ring, it's a hindrance. It's kind of a pain in the ass. It's kind of just should have been designed around Elden Ring instead. Honestly, this kind of. I wouldn't say that this is necessarily something that's going to reflect in the score by the end. For me. Just, it won't. But I do often get this feeling like this isn't really making that much of an improvement in any aspect. It's not really moving forward much. If anything, it often just feels like it's here to for no real purpose. The whole buy list thing, I go back and forth on that one, but everyone else who's kind of makes no sense for every single other character to be 24/7 bodiless, really. That it doesn't entirely make sense. It's kind of screams old limitations not being dealt with the current tech. That's kind of just the overall feeling it gives.
So the way I imagine it is, like I said, babies first. So they want to get in new people, but they want to retain their old audience still.
Yeah.
If they changed it too much, they'd lose that. Like, I'm going to take this out of the world of gaming. You know what's happening with Doctor Who right now, yeah?
Yeah, I don't think I like that much either, to be honest with you.
That is basically the kind of thing that you're asking for at this point.
No, I'm just.
Maybe they'll add what you're asking in the next game.
No, I'm
Right
not
now,
asking that
we
far.
need to bring in both sides.
I'm not asking that far.
Merge them into a new one.
Reel that
And
in.
then they'll
Reel
let
that
it
in.
alone.
Homegirl, reel that in. I'm not asking that far. I'm not asking that far. You don't go fucking nuts. Don't go mental here. What I'm actually getting at is just if you're going to try and keep much of it the same, then you should try and find something within one tiny thing to alter. And even then, you shouldn't alter it radically. You should alter it with the intent of improving its flow or function. That's what I'm saying. You want to leave a ton of it? You want to leave, say, let's say 90% of the game. Alright, fine. Then take a 1% somewhere and try and not alter it so it's a whole different beast, alter it so it functions better, flows better. You can keep your core untouched. That's fine. But the stuff that necessarily isn't a strong suit or doesn't work, those things you should try to be like, okay, like small band-aid. Okay, not a big enough band-aid? Okay, now we use a bigger band-aid. Gradually and smallly improve what is flawed, is what I'm saying. We don't need to go full Doctor Who reboot on this, alright? We don't need to go that far. This game is that salvageable and good, we don't need to go that far. At all.
I only brought up the Doctor Who reboot because there will be people
don't need to go that far. We don't need to go that far. No. This game has small issues. It's not enough to justify Doctor Who. Please, no. Anyone who's out there, if you're someone who's going to be working on the next Armored Core, please, for the love of God, don't go full Doctor Who. I am begging your ass. Please.
It's a shame that that's what the world's come to when it comes to equations.
I am begging you, just fix small things. Do not go ridiculous. Don't go bad shit. I am begging. Oh, God.
When it comes to games, like, what would you like the next Armored Core to take off of to add into this game?
Honestly,
Let's say Armored Core 7.
for Armored Core 7, they don't really need to take off anything. They just need to fine tune.
By that I mean, like, add in.
Like, honestly, if I'm adding in something, I'm adding in some more mech customization. I'm not going to necessarily some radical level yet. I'm just adding in a little bit at a time. Then, just so that this way it's still getting improved in a way that's noticeable to, some people, I'm not going to necessarily improve or change too much of the core at all. Like, the core is fine. That we can leave that alone. What I am fixing up is just how certain things are. Like, for example, mech customization. I'm adding a little bit more of it. And I'm making sure that what little more I add isn't like just more decals. I mean, if they decided to add more decals, whoopee. I think the other thing I would add is, honestly, I would add more customization of the parts that are within as well. Yes.
So, when you were talking earlier about
Multiplayer would be such a cool
characters
add,
just
too.
being voices, I thought maybe what you were talking about was maybe going down the Mech Warrior franchise, specifically the Merc variant, where you're walking around in the ship.
No, we don't need to go that far. We don't need to go that far. We really don't need to go that far at all. It's just, if we're going to basically have these characters kind of talking in our ear, alright. I will say I felt like the voice acting quality was, in some areas, okay. Some areas was like, oh, they should have done that second time. But, no, we don't need to go freaking Mech Warriors. We don't need to go that far. We really don't. We just need to add the rest of the mech bits that are kind of like, what else? What else? What else is there? It feels like one big fix is just adding more mech bits.
Then what would be your fix for just the voices?
For just the voices, honestly, I think it's just a writing thing. Just touch up here, touch up there, done. Like, we don't even... Normally, when I bring up, like, writing, I'm so used to having to say at the end of it, like, give the writer a smack on the hand and tell him to try harder or something like that. The writer didn't fail. It's just that there's a small error here, small error there, easy fix. Like, literally, almost all of my issues with this game are easy fixes. Like, I can't think of one thing in this game that's like a hardcore hate or a failure. It's just small error here, small error there, fixed. Like, ultimately, that's what's going to shine in the score more than anything. Is despite me bringing up some of these problems, ultimately, none of them are hard fixes, really. Like, for the writing department, honestly, it's not even that huge of a big fix, really. It's make it so that the pacing's a little more consistent, because it does feel a little slow at first. There's really not much to do. It's all just easy fixes. Like, I can't stress this enough. Not even one big mistake can I come up with. Not even one. Every single bit of the experience I've had, while not necessarily good, I will say I can separate myself from my experience to see what is actually here. Being objective is kind of one of the few things I pride myself on. And objectively, the reality is, what mistakes are here, all of them are easy fixes. There's literally nothing that's an actual, can only be fixed by tearing apart the wheel or scolding the rider. Not even one. All of it is just, oh, yeah, yeah, this is a mistake everybody makes, no sweat. We can fix this easily. Oh, that mistake? Effortless. We don't even need a sequel. We can fix that in an expansion without even breaking a sweat. No problem. This we can fix in a free DLC. All right, everybody, lunch. Yep.
Speaking of free, they're actually adding in a few extra mech parts to the game for free. That was actually spoiled
I thought it was just a
on
rumor.
the net. No, they're
Huh.
we have actual pictures. We have the stats. We know what they look like. We're not just getting a quadruped. I'm pretty sure we're getting a tetrapod for the light mech.
Cool. Cool. That's awesome because honestly, that's one of the few I have to put in air quotes because it's really not. Like I said, it's such an easy problem to fix. But add more mech parts. You done pretty much everything you need to do.
Sadly, they're not the full-on customizability of the old games where you can completely customize your
Yeah.
boosters, your left, your right, your bottom.
Mm. Which is something I
But
was looking
they're
forward to
giving us
originally.
more.
Ah. I was originally looking to that depth of customization because, like I said, I did do the demo for PS3 way back when, and I've watched it. But it's just if you're not gonna have that depth of customization, having more part options will pretty much fix the issue. Lo and behold, like, and I assume the homegirl's internet is crapping out. Oh no, she's just standing still.
I can look in VR. I have perfected the standstill to fuck with people
You've done
because
so.
when you DC, your body just goes, and then you just pop out of existence. It's fun. It's like, oh no, they're crashing. When they come up close, hey, are you okay? Ah.
So I am gonna say we probably should get to the reviews. I'm gonna say this probably surprises Smabb a little bit, but I do actually rate the game very highly. I give this game very much an easy 8 out of 10, and even then, that 8 is temporary because they're already adding in the thing that would jump it to 9, which is more parts. They do that twice. Dun dun, we have arrived at 10. Problem solved. I might be disappointed with the Fires of Rubicon ending, or the saving Rubicon ending. I might be disappointed with it, but ultimately, for me, your gameplay is probably the biggest thing to actually nail, and they're gonna fix what few things were wrong with it already. You're up, girl. I have to go crap myself to death, so I'll be right back. Yikes!
What is that? I did not need that information.
Sorry, couldn't help it.
Well, I've been basically a lifelong fan of mecha. I originally started watching mecha when I was 6 or 7 years old. It and started with Gundam Wing. I was at my friend's house. We were hanging out for the night, and it came on TV. The Japanese music, the robots you could pilot in space, shoot guns and block with your shield, slice with your energy sword. I was enthralled. And then, later in life, just a few years, I'd get the internet, and I'd find all of G Gundam uploaded on YouTube back in the day, before it wasn't what it is today. And I watched the whole thing, and I fell in love again. And Power Rangers. How could I forget Power Rangers? Power Rangers is mecha. It's not just superhero. It's not Super Sentai. It's mecha. Spider-Man, Japanese Spider-Man, he had a mech. So many people know mechs are awesome. They're amazing. They're insane things that can go slow, fast, air, land, sea, missiles, chain guns, pistols, swords, daggers, throwing daggers, obliterate destruction, beautiful, ugly, modern, post-apocalyptic, made from trash, made from preen material. Mechs are like human souls. Every single one is different compared to the other. Even if made off a manufacturing line, there's still going to be differences. Mechs are just cool. Like, there's this old mecha anime. I can't quite remember its name, but I think it was one of the first in color. But I have the entire first season. It's like 60 episodes, and I binged the whole thing. And sure, some of the voice acting is cheesy. Some of the fights could use a bit more frames, but I didn't care because it was mecha. The story was amazing. And don't even get me started on Magus XLR. That needs another season. It needs to be brought back from the scrapyard, which Magus was bought in. But when it comes to mecha and Armored Core and the small bits of history that I have with it, though there are small flaws which can be fixed, I personally rate this game 10G Gundams out of 10G Gundams, my favorite mecha anime. I hope you all enjoyed this review. I personally had fun. Me and Gamin, we had a bit of Becker because we have two different points of view. But what's a review if you don't have a different point of view? And that's why I show up sometimes. And Gaiman's other friends, they show up sometimes too. If they have their own words or things that exist, their own view on things. And if you like what you've seen on this channel so far, and you like this video, then don't forget to subscribe to Gamin because he tells it like it is. Whether you end up actually liking what he says or not, he won't give you a lie. He will give it straight from his brain as he sees it. It's part of why he's one of my best friends. He'll call me on my bullshit. And I hope you have someone like that in your life. Gaiman will give his outro, if he does. But this one's mine. So, have a great day. Have a better week. Have an even greater month. And remember, keep this year better than last year. Because as long as you keep Mecha in your heart, nothing can go too wrong. Holy crap. I'll see you whenever I see you next.
And I apologize that deeply, folks. Whew, I have not been feeling good all day. I finally feel a little better. See ya.